This is fragments, comma splice, fused sentence, and sentence errors. Anteater. We're looking at semicolons, colons, and dashes. Stuff you already know how to do. Quick review. I can correctly use semicolons, colons, and dashes. Semicolon, rule number 1. Use a semicolon between independent clauses to create a compound sentence. You can also use a comma and a coordinating conjunction, or fanboys, which stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And those are just conjunctions you can use to put sentences together. Examples. The instruments in a symphony orchestra are divided into families. Many musicians can easily play different instruments within one family. So, semicolon is used to, in this instance, the instruments in a symphony orchestra are divided into families. We can see that this is an independent clause because it has a subject and a verb and it can stand on its own. Many musicians can easily play different instruments within one family. Also an independent clause, you know that a semicolon is being used right here to just bring together two closely related sentences. So you can't use a comma here because it would be between two complete sentences, but these are so closely related that you wouldn't want to make it its own sentence. Another one. Ellen was elected president of the Honor Society. She truly deserved that recognition. Again, two independent clauses closely related joined together with the semicolon. Rule number 2, use it between independent clauses joined by transitional words or phrases. Well, this is a common error for sure. For example, only 2 people registered for the calligraphy lessons. Consequently, the class was canceled. So when you have words like consequently, however, furthermore, you use a semicolon and a comma. The dark clouds threaten rain, semicolon. Nevertheless, we were still expected at the battle. What does that say? Couldn't see it behind the anteater. Furthermore, he is a fine pianist and an excellent composer. So these are our transitional words, semicolon, comma. Because furthermore this is a dependent clause. Furthermore, he is a fine pianist and an excellent composer. So we have our independent clause, David has a superb singing voice, semicolon, transition word, comma. Semicolon in a list that already includes commas, this helps eliminate confusion. I've been to Newcastle, Carlisle, and New York in the north, Bristol, Exeter, and Portsmouth in the south. Okay, so our list already contains commas. So we're using the semicolon to separate the places we've been in the north and the places we've been in the south. So it's like everything separated with a comma are our little like subcategories within our bigger categories, north and south, or north and east, sorry. Winners are Joe from Reno, Nevada, Diane from Phoenix, Arizona, and Matt. So like I said, commas to separate the smaller groups within the bigger groups. So here's the rules for semicolons. You put it between two independent clauses, so two complete sentences, to create a compound sentence. Rule number 2, use it between your independent clauses joined by transitional words or phrases. So this is using your however, furthermore, words like that. And then you can use it in a list that already has commas. So instead of just having like 100 commas, you can separate the bigger categories with the semicolon and the smaller categories with the commas. Okay, colon. You can use it before a list of items. Must follow an independent clause. So that's the hard, fast rule about colons. You have to have a complete sentence and then a colon. Examples, you will need a light jacket, heavy boots, a rifle, several cartons of shells, and a sharp hunting knife. So this is how you would format this with a colon. The equipment that you will need is as follows. So you would have to have your complete sentence and then a colon and then your list of things. So this is using commas, this is using a colon. List of items using commas. My 3 favorite hobbies are sewing, cooking, and painting. How would you rewrite this using a colon? I have 3 hobbies. Complete sentence, colon, list. Does that make sense? This summer, we traveled through Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. So if you wanted to reformat that using a colon, you would need your complete sentence and then your list of places. So you can use it before a quote when you lead into the quote with a complete sentence. So again, hard and fast rule, complete sentence, colon, quote. Atticus teaches Scout a lesson about understanding others. So this is how we're introducing our quote with a complete sentence. Complete sentence, colon, quote. Colon. Complete sentence, always, always, no matter what, before a colon. Versus, this is introducing a quote with a comma because Atticus teaches Scout a lesson about understanding others when he says, comma, because this underlined portion is not a complete sentence because 100 out of 100 times when you have the word, you have a speech tag at the end like says, it's going to get a comma, not a colon. Because sentences that end with the word said or says are not complete sentences. And you can use a colon after an independent clause when the second clause or phrase explains or restates the first clause. So this is going to be if you have a sentence that kind of leaves you hanging and then you kind of answer that question or what you were left hanging on, the thought, if it answers the thought, then it gets a colon. So Henry James was never really a popular novelist. So that sentence kind of leaves you thinking, well, what was his deal then? And then the next part of your sentence answers that question. Anteater. None of his novels ever attained the sales of a modern bestseller. So we have our complete sentence, colon, and then our thought that kind of answers our first thought. These seat covers are the most durable kind, colon after the complete sentence. What do you mean the most durable kind? Well, they are reinforced with a double stitching and covered with a heavy plastic coating. See how that kind of answers that? Reminder of the rules, colon before a list of items. So, complete sentence, colon, list the things. Colon rule 2. Use a colon before a quote when you lead into the quote with a complete sentence. So, complete sentence, colon, then quote. Use a colon after an independent clause when it explains or restates the first clause. So if I leave you hanging on a thought, I can do a colon and then answer that thought. Anteaters aren't the strongest animals out there. Complete sentence, colon, but they are the smartest animals out there. Dashes. You can use these to set off side comments, abrupt break in speech. Film's director, dash, I can't recall his name to save my life, dash, said that there would be a sequel. I kind of hate that this exclamation point is in here, though. I would get rid of that for sure. But you can just, for this example, the film's director, whose name I can't remember, you're just kind of like inside thoughts offset with the dash in the middle, said that there would be a sequel. The truth is, and you probably already know this, again, you're just kind of like inner dialogue being offset in the middle here. We can't finish this project on time. You have to double dash punctuation that surrounds extra information. Must be the same. So double dash, so I have it here and I have it here to offset the information in the middle. You can use dashes before an explanation to replace the words in other words, namely. Okay, so this is to offset the entire statement. So the film's director said that there wouldn't be a sequel. This is almost making it like in a positive. Like you could take it out and the sentence would still make sense. Here, you're using this in place of saying in other words or namely. So it was a close call. In other words, the sudden gust of wind pushed the helicopter to within inches of the power line. Early Native American civilizations, namely or for example, the Mayan, the Inca, and the Aztec relied on farming, blah, blah, blah. So this kind of functions as saying namely or in other words. You can use dashes to separate a list, leadership, human relation skills, great communication. Dash, these are the traits of a successful manager. Again, dashes can be used for pretty much anything. You know, they just like are your afterthoughts, I guess. So use to set off side comments or like your inner dialogue. Use them in place of in other words or namely. Separate things in a list. So what we have here is 3 practice questions. So you're going to look at the underlined word and decide what is the best punctuation option. Practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide what the answer is, A, B, C, or D. What is the best choice, even if it could technically be more than one, the best choice to fit the purpose of this passage. So it's important to read the whole passage, select the best punctuation. Practice 1, 2, 3. So that's what you're going to do for an assignment today.